Being intellectual, the coffee shop and initial conversation. The aroma of strong coffee and sweet palm sugar hung heavy the air of Kopi Kenangan, a traditional coffee shop nestled just outside the campus gates. It was a favorite haunt for students seeking a break from lectures and a dose of caffeine-fueled inspiration. Jiwa sat across the leg down a low wooden bench, worn copy of Serat Dawaruchi, an ancient Javanese philosophical text, open in her lap. Her brow was furrowed in concentration as she deciphered the intricate script, her long dark hair cascading down her shoulders like a waterfall. The clinking of ceramic cups and the murmur of conversation from the shooting backdrop to her thoughts. Occasionally her gaze would reach up from the pages to observe the scene around her. Students huddled over textbooks, their faces illuminated by the warm glow of hanging lanterns. An old man in battered shirt, sipping his coffee slowly, lost in contemplation, a group of friends erupting in laughter, their voices echoing through the small space. Suddenly, a figure slid onto the bench opposite her. Jiwa deep in thoughts again. Joa's voice was warm and cheerful. Like the rising sun, he placed a rolled-up canvas and bag filled with art supplies on the floor beside him. In his hands, he held a sketchbook, its pages filled with intricate design. "Look what I've been working on," he said, his eyes sparkling with excitement. Jiwa smiled, a gentle curve of her lips. "They're beautiful, Joe. What are they?" Joe spared the sketchbook open, revealing a series of sketches that seemed to blend ancient and modern. "These are body moderns," he explained, tracing the lines with his finger, "but I'm giving them a contemporary twist. See how I've incorporated geometric shapes and bold colors? I want to show that tradition isn't something static. It can evolve, adapt, like philosophy," Shiva mused, her gaze returning to her book. "The core principle remains, but the interpretation changes with the times." "Exactly," Joe exclaimed. "And that's where the intellectual part comes in, right? It's not just about memorizing old texts or copying old patterns. It's about understanding the underlying concepts and applying them in new ways." As they delved deeper into their discussion, two more figures approached their table. Jawir, tall and lanky with perpetually skeptical expression on his face, and Sita, sharp-eyed and quick-witted, her voice always laced with a hint of challenges. "What's so interesting is keeping you two from your studies?" Sita asked, sliding into a chair. "We're having a debate," Joe said, grinning, "about whether art can be considered intellectual." Jawir nodded. "Art? Intellectual? Come on, Joe. That's just expression, philosophy, science, that where the real intellectual work happens." Sita raised an eyebrow. "Oh, really, Jawir? So you think analyzing Shakespeare's sonnets or interpreting Picasso's painting doesn't require intelligence? Don't be so narrow-minded." The debate ignited, as it often did when these four got together. Jawir is the pragmatist, argued for the supremacy of logic and reason. Sita, with the wordsmith, championed the power of language and interpretation. Jawa, the artist, tried to bridge the gap by highlighting the intellectual depth in creative expression. Throughout it all, Jiwa remained calm present, her voice soft but firm, but she interjected. "I think you're both right, in a way," she said, her gaze sweeping across their faces. "Intellectualism isn't competition, it's spectrum. It's about depth of thought, the critical engagement with ideas regardless of the medium." She gestured, to Joe's sketchbook. Joe isn't just drawing pretty pictures, he's exploring the philosophical concept embedded in batik, the cosmology behind the patterns that requires knowledge, analysis, and creativity. She turned to Jawir. And Jawir, you can't deny that our science relies on interpretation. Data doesn't speak for itself, it needs to be understood, contextualized, just like a poem or painting. The discussion continued, flowing like the strong Japanese coffee they were drinking, rich and complex. They touched upon the nature of knowledge, the role of tradition, the importance of questioning assumptions, and the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the coffee shop. They realized that they had only scratched the surface of vast and fascinating topic. They could go on all night, Sita said, a hint of amusement in her voice. Perhaps we should continue this another time. Agreed, Joe said, gathering his things. But next time, we're having this debate at the yard exhibition. I want Javier to see firsthand that art can be intellectual. Javier rolled his eyes, but a flicker of curiosity crossed his face. Fine, he conceded. But don't expect me to suddenly start wearing a bar or pointing poetry. Jiwa smiled, a sense of quiet satisfaction in her heart. The conversation had been stimulating, challenging, and ultimately enriching. It was a reminder that the pursuit of knowledge was a journey, not a destination, that the most valuable insights often came from engaging with different perspectives. Until next time, then, she said softly, rising to her feet. May we all continue to learn and grow. The art exhibition and cultural debate. The campus art gallery buzzed with a vibrant energy. Students and faculty being led admiring the diverse range of artwork on display. Joe's corner was particularly crowded. His piece is a striking fusion of traditional batik and contemporary abstract art, drew both praise and puzzled expressions. Jiwa, Jawir, and Sita navigated the throng, their eyes drawn to Joe's bold creation. One piece, a large canvas tailored cosmic harmony, featured intricate batik patterns swirling around geometric shapes, bathed in kaleidoscope of color. Another, a series of sculptures called Rebirth of Legends, reimagined ancient Japanese myth using modern material like steel and glass. Sita, ever the analyst, approached Joe with thoughtful expression. Your work is fascinating, Joe, she said, her gaze sweeping across the canvas. It's like you're writing a new kind of text, one that speaks through visual instead of words. The symbols, the colors, the composition, they all tell a story. Joe beamed. That's exactly what I'm trying to do, Sita. I want to show that batik isn't just a pretty fabric. It's a repository of knowledge, of philosophy, of history. Its motif has a meaning, a lesson, and by interpreting them, I'm trying to make those lessons relevant to this world. Jawir, however, remained skeptical. He stood with his arms crossed, his eyes narrowed as he studied a sculpture depicting a mythical creature. I appreciate the skill, Joe, he said, his voice laced with reservation, but I still don't see how this is intellectual. It's decorative, expressive, but is it really advancing our understanding of the world in the same way that, say, physics or mathematics does? Jiwa stepped forward, her voice calm and steady. But Jawir, art thus advance our understanding of the world, just in different way. It explores the human condition, the emotional landscape, the spiritual dimension of existence. These things are just as important as the physical laws of the universe. To gesture to the sculpture, look at this piece, for example. It's not just a pretty statue, it's a representation of the myth, a story that has been passed down through generations. It reflects the values, the beliefs, the fears of culture. Understanding that is a form of intellectual inquiry. Sita nodded in agreement. And Joe isn't just copying the myth, he's reinterpreting them, critiquing them, engaging with them intellectually. He's asking questions about identity, about tradition, about the relationship between the past and the present. The debate reignited, fueled by the power of the visual surrounding them. Javier challenged the notion that art could be objective and verifiable, arguing that it was too subjective and emotional. Shida countered by emphasizing the importance of critical analysis. Interpretation, arguing that art could be just as rigorous as any academic discipline. Java caught the crossfire, tried to explain his artistic process, the research he conducted, the philosophical concepts he explored, the cultural context he considered. He spoke of the symbolism of colors, the mathematical precision of patterns, the historical significance of motifs. Jiwa once again acted as mediator, weaving together the threads of their arguments. She highlighted the interconnectedness of art, philosophy, and science, arguing that they were all different ways of seeking truth and understanding. As the crowd thinned and the evening drew to a close, the four of them found themselves standing together in front of a cosmic harmony, its colors glowing softly under the gallery lights. I still think physics is superior, Jabir conceded, a hint of a smile playing on his lips. But I have to admit, Joe has given me something to think about. Sita patted Joe on the shoulder. Your work is brilliant, Joe. It challenges us to see the new world in the new ways. Jiwa gazed at the painting, her eyes filled with a quiet wonder. It's like a bridge, she murmured, a bridge between the ancient and the modern, between the tangible and intangible, between knowledge and feeling. The debate was far from over, but the seed had been planted, a seed of understanding, of respect, of appreciation for the diverse forms of intellectual expressions. Discussions is the garden of applying local wisdom. A triangular oasis of green, the campus botanical garden offered a respite from the bustling academic environment. Jiwa had chosen this location for the next discussion, seeking inspiration from the harmony of nature. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting dappled shadows on the ground where they sat in a circle. The air was filled with the sweet scent of blooming jasmine and the gentle murmur of nearby fountain. I wanted to show you all something. Jiwa began her gaze sweeping across her friends. Something beyond books and art, something alive. She gestured to a nearby plant with broad, heart-shaped leaves. This is siri, she explained. In Javanese culture, it's more than just a plant. It's a symbol of respect, of hospitality, and connection. Javier raised an eyebrow. Betel leaf? What's so intellectual about chewing a betel leaf, Jiwa? Jiwa smiled patiently. It's not just about Chewing it, Java is about the ritual, the meaning behind it. The process of preparing siri involves combining different elements. The leaf, arecanut, lime, gambir, each with its own symbolism. It's microcosm of life itself, a reminder that we are all interconnected. She then shared stories of how siri was used in traditional ceremonies, in marriage proposals, in conflict resolution. She explained the philosophical concepts embedded in the practice, a harmony, keseimbangan, hubungan. Joe always eager to find artistic inspiration. Was captivated. It's like batik, he mused. Each element has its own patterns, its own color, its own story, but when you put them together, they create a larger, more beautiful whole. Sida ever analyst saw the potential for literary interpretation is metaphor, she said, for society, for relationship, for the human conditions. The serious ceremony is a text, and we can analyze it just like we analyze a poem or a play. Jabir, initially skeptical, began to see the relevance of Jiwa lesson. So you're saying, he said slowly, that even something as simple as chewing betel leaf can be intellectual if we understand the meaning behind it? Jiwa nodded. Exactly. And it's not just Siri. Javanese culture is rich with wisdom that can be applied to modern life. Gotong royong, the spirit of communal cooperation, can teach us about teamwork and social responsibility. Rukun, the pursuit of harmony, can guide us in the resolving conflicts peacefully. Adapt Asor, humility, can help us to be more respectful and compassionate. She then challenged them to think of ways to apply these concepts to their own fields of study. As an artist, Joe said, I can incorporate these values into my work. I can create art that promotes harmony, that celebrates community, that honors our tradition. Sita, the literature enthusiast, saw the potential of storytelling. I can write stories that explore these themes, that teach these lessons, that inspire people to live more meaningful lives. Javier the engineer struggled at first. I don't see how these apply to building bridges or designing machines, he admitted. But Jiwa encouraged him to think creatively. Even in engineering, Javier, there are ethical considerations. How do we design technology that serves humanity, that protects the environment, that promotes social justice? These are intellectual questions, and Javanese wisdom can offer guidance. They spend the rest of the afternoon discussing various applications of Javanese philosophy. Their initial skepticism gradually giving way to curiosity and appreciation. They realized that intellectualism wasn't confined to textbooks and classrooms. It was woven into the fabric of culture, into the everyday practices of life. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the garden, they felt a sense of connections, not just to each other but to something larger than themselves. They had discovered a new dimension of intellectual inquiry, one that was rooted in the wisdom of the past but relevant to the challenges of the present. Reflection and harmony. Weeks later, the familiar aroma of kabikanangan welcomed them back. The four friends gathered around a small table, the setting sun casting a warm glow on their faces. The air was filled with a comfortable silence, a testament to the bond that had grown between them. So, Sita began, breaking the silence with a thoughtful sip. We've explored a lot in the past few weeks: art, philosophy, culture. What have you learned about being intellectual? Jerry surprisingly spoke first. I've learned that I was too narrow minded, he admitted, a hint of sheepishness in her voice. I thought intellectualism was all about logic and reason, about facts and figures. I didn't appreciate the value of art, of culture, of tradition. He glanced at Joe. Joe's work opened my eyes. He showed me that art can be just as rigorous, just as insightful as any scientific theory. And Jiva, you taught me that there's wisdom in our own backyard, in the traditions and philosophies of our ancestors. Joe smiled, a warm and genuine expression, and I learned that isn't just about self-expression, it's about communication, about connection. It's about sharing ideas and sparking a dialogue. He looked at Sita. Sita's analysis of my work challenged me to think more deeply about meaning behind my art, about the messages I was trying to convey. Sita, in turn, acknowledged the growth in our own understanding. I realized that intellectualism isn't just about tearing things apart, about analyzing and critiquing. It's also about building bridges, about finding connections, about appreciating different perspectives. She turned to Jawa, her voice filled with gratitude. Jawa, you are the anchor for all of us. You remind us of the importance of balance, of harmony, of respecting our roots. You showed us that intellectualism can be both modern and traditional, both analytical and intuitive. Jiva listened intensely, her heart filled with a quiet joy. I believe, she said softly, that being intellectual is not a destination, but a journey. It's about constantly learning, growing, and evolving. It's about embracing our differences and finding common ground. She paused, her gaze sweeping across their face, and it's also about harmony. She explained the Javanese concept of harmony, a state of balance and interconnectedness between individuals, between cultures, between the past and the present. She argued that true intellectualism could only be achieved when there was harmony within oneself and with the world around them. They spent the rest of the evening discussing how they could apply the concept of harmony to their own lives and their respective fields of study. Jerry spoke of design and technology that was both efficient and sustainable, that served humanity and protected the environment. Joel talked about creating art that celebrated diversity, promoted understanding between cultures. Sita envisioned writing stories that explore the complexities of human relationships and the importance of empathy. As the night drew to a close, they raised their glasses of coffee in a silent toast. They had started as four individuals with different perspectives, but they had grown into a community of learners, united by their shared pursuit of knowledge and their commitment to creating a more harmonious world. The journey to become intellectual was far from over, but they knew they were on the right path, a path that was both challenging and rewarding, both individual and collective, both rooted in tradition and open to the future.